on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. Our top story tonight, a well-known sheriff's deputy who served several counties is charged with sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy. Prosecutors say 54-year-old Richard Anderson met the boy last year and showed him gay porn several times at his Turtle Lake home. They say Anderson invited the boy to his house where he engaged in lewd conduct. Anderson is charged with corruption or solicitation of a minor, luring a minor by a computer, and indecent exposure. His bond was set at $5,000, which he quickly paid. Reporter Daniela Hurtado spoke to the victim's parents, who say that bond wasn't high enough and now their child's safety is at risk.
But he won't admit it, but I know he's scared.
The 15-year-old victim's mother speaks out.
I don't know what to feel. It's just emotional, very emotional.
A cry for justice.
I want it all out there, whatever, but it really hurts. I mean, you know, because where's the mom supposed to be protecting their kid and they're not there? You think you could trust somebody and this stuff happens.
7 pages of detailed court documents of what officials and the boy say happened. His stepfather was the first to hear about the incident.
And he needed to talk. Get it off his chest.
A family heartbroken and say they fear for the boy's life.
When I first found out, I said, we got to get you out of here right away.
He says he trusted the accused, Richard Anderson, and never thought something like this could happen. We contacted Anderson several times to hear his side, but never got a response.
Please leave your name and telephone number.
I just regret that the boy spent any time with him, because he was not a good role model. You know, I'm supposed to be able to trust military people and trust law enforcement.
He does say one bad egg doesn't represent the entire batch. For West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Daniela Hurtado.
Anderson will appear in court on August 1st for a preliminary hearing. The family is concerned about his release and say they hope their son gets justice. Time now is 9:02. Let's throw it over to Henry for our first check on weather.
Hey, what?
The man accused of trying to run over a Bismarck police officer in January, and then the man accused of driving that man to South Dakota to get away, are getting a new trial date. Ulysses Villalobos and Juan Nunez will now stand trial on October 16th on charges of drug trafficking and association with a California street gang. The court says Villalobos' attorney asked for more time to go through the evidence. Former Fargo sportscaster and Morehead State University quarterback Ed Schultz died this morning of what his son called natural causes. He was 64. Schultz also did radio broadcasting of NDSU football games during his time at WDAY in the 1980s and 90s. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt has stepped down among a long lingering cloud of controversy. President Trump announced on Twitter he had accepted Pruitt's resignation. Andrew Wheeler will take over as acting EPA administrator on Monday. Pruitt's resignation follows months of criticism over spending and security and travel, as well as questionable uses of resources. Senator John Tester is taking out a full-page ad in 14 newspapers thanking President Trump for signing 16 bills that the Democrats sponsored or co-sponsored. President Trump held a rally today at Great Falls to campaign for Tester's Republican challenger, State Auditor Matt Rosendale. At that rally, the president mocked the Me Too movement. Tester's ad runs today in papers across northern and eastern Montana. It says, quote, "Welcome to Montana, and thank you, President Trump, for supporting John's legislation to help veterans and first responders hold the VA accountable and get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government." The woman who climbed the Statue of Liberty on the 4th of July has been charged with trespassing and interference with government agency functions. 44-year-old Teresa Akumu was arrested as soon as officers lowered her to the ground. She climbed to the base of the statue waving a T-shirt that read, "Rise and resist," and "Trump care makes us sick." A man is facing charges after police say he egged cars in Bismarck, and he's got a name to match the crime. 19-year-old Benedict Ponzer is accused of hitting several cars with eggs near Pioneer Elementary School. Bismarck Police Department says more than 20 people reported their cars had been hit. Court records say Ponzer admitted to throwing several eggs at the elementary school and then driving around with his 2 friends, throwing them at cars. While the rain and wind did a number on the fairgrounds in Mandan on Monday and Tuesday night, Rodeo Days organizers says it was still a success. The three-night event wrapped early Monday night because of the threat of severe storms. The heavy rains turned most of the dirt into mud, but the city of Mandan provided fresh dirt Tuesday morning. Overall, the event was a success.
Contestants here were from all over, and we had a lot of world champions here and all that. Our problem out there was, again, we lost some tents, banners to put up, grounds to rework and get done.
Wetch says attendance was up slightly from last year. A man's truck is destroyed after $2,800 worth of fireworks blew up near Windmeyer. The Richland County Sheriff's Office says 67-year-old Jorgen Nokelberg of Leonard was driving Wednesday on Highway 18 when the load of fireworks started going off. They sparked several small grass fires along the highway, but Nokelberg received only minor injuries. In Minot, more than 1,000 people filled the grandstands for last night's fireworks show at the state fairgrounds. After a night filled with fun, crews headed out early this morning to clean up. Grandstand garbage wasn't the only area on the fairgrounds that needed to be tidied up. The shells and framework for the fireworks had to be torn down as well.
All the racks that we had set up with the guns for the fireworks have to be taken down now. All the wiring, everything was electronically fired through wiring. All that wiring has to be gathered up and put back on spools. Then there's big chunks of the bigger shells that we have to pick up the debris.
Crew members say that overall cleanup takes roughly 3 hours. Skies across America were lit up last night with bright lights and loud booms. But for some, those noises trigger haunting memories. Jack Springate talked with a man who suffers a lot of anxiety this time of year because of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Air Force veteran Mike Carswell was medically retired after being diagnosed with PTSD.
During my time, I was stationed in Andrews Air Force Base, Washington, D.C., Elmendorf, Alaska, Pentagon, Washington, D.C.
He has learned how to deal with loud noises this time of year by setting up a safe room in his basement.
This is my safe place, so I can come down here and I can turn the TV up and I don't hear it. It's with the stuff that's going off, right over top of my house, which I've had on many occasions.
The trouble comes when Carswell isn't prepared for people who set off fireworks illegally, but added that he wants to find ways people can celebrate safely and legally.
What I'd like to do is start a conversation on where around here could people go that want to set it off in a designated location.
Fireworks have been illegal in Minot for decades, but calls for people setting them off are inevitable.
From the time fireworks started being sold, we had about 91 calls of fireworks. I spoke about people with PTSD and how this type of thing might trigger a response that a normal person wouldn't have.
Carswell says he wants people to celebrate, and if everyone followed the laws, it could help people like him.
I am content, but at the same time, I understand people want to go out and fire off fireworks. Yeah. They want to celebrate Independence Day, and that is, and like I said, I don't want to be that guy.
In Minot for West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Jack Springate.
The North Dakota Department of Health is releasing its annual drinking water compliance report for 2017. The department says 99% of public water systems met all health-based standards. Greg Ravra of the department's drinking water program says there were some violations, but the majority of those were resolved. For a more in-depth look at that report, you can head over to the environmental health section of the department's website. Well, Ward County is preparing to use produced water from oil wells to help control dust on some gravel roads. The County Commission approved a plan to purchase a storage tank and distribution equipment. Produced water contains magnesium and calcium chlorides, which are commonly used in dust control. The State Health Department says the water is safe when appropriately used. Still ahead, we're learning more about the extremely difficult circumstances rescuers are facing while trying to extract a trapped soccer team and their coach. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palkett has more from London.
12 young soccer players and their coach still trapped in a cave in Thailand more than a mile underground, and time may be running out. Officials at the scene say water levels in the cave are going down slightly, but maybe not fast enough, despite efforts to pump it out, leaving them no other option than a complex and dangerous series of dives to get the boys and their coach out.
If you got tangled with the diving guideline, for example, or if your face mask got knocked aside and air rushed out and water rushed in. All of those are possibilities which would have to be overcome.
And there are new challenges. Nearly 2 weeks of living in the cave has left the group exhausted, with some suffering from dehydration and malnutrition. Thai Navy SEALs are now bringing more food and medical supplies and also pumping in oxygen. But it's not an easy task. Divers have to navigate dark, flooded tunnels for 6 hours to reach the team.
At that point in time, it's a specific dive requirement, and unfortunately, based on some of our equipment, it's a challenge for us.
Another problem on the horizon, heavy rains expected to drench the region starting Friday, raising fears of more flooding and possibly forcing rescue workers to find a new strategy.
I have to find out the weather forecast every day and calculate how much water will fill up the cave. We can't risk having the area flood again, so we have to revise our plan.
Thai officials are running cables through the cave, trying to establish a line of communication between the boys and their families. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
At least 17 people are dead after a firework explosion north of Mexico City. Rescue workers and bystanders were among the dead. More than 30 people were injured. Witnesses report 2 explosions, 4 firefighters and 2 police officers who rushed to the scene after the first explosion were killed by the second blast. There have been a series of deadly blasts in the area, which is known for firework production. A Wisconsin couple is feeling thankful after a close brush with death. The image is tough to wrap your head around. A car completely lodged in the side of a Newburgh home. It happened back June 28th. The car went airborne, launching right into the home of Annette and Ken Byling. Ken was showered with glass and debris, but otherwise no one was hurt. The man behind the wheel came to the house to apologize the next day. Wild weather coast to coast. Houston is drying out after record rainfall, while searing heat lingers for much of the rest of the country, including here. And wildfires continue to burn out west. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has the latest from Los Angeles.
It was very scary, I have to admit, because you yourself, you're concerned for your own safety.
Severe storms from Colorado to New Jersey, dumping 2 inches of rainfall in Pittsburgh in an hour, and breaking a record in Houston with some areas seeing up to 8 inches.
It's kind of nervous just to wake up and think that hopefully your city doesn't flood again. So, but it does. I do get nervous because it brings memories back from Harvey.
Crews working Thursday to recover cars from roadways that now resemble rivers. Elsewhere, soaring temperatures are popping up throughout the U.S. 23 states from California to Maine are under fire alerts.
Nerve-wracking, actually. I mean, you can see the progression of the fire.
More than 60 wildfires are burning throughout the U.S., most of them in western states from California to Texas. In Colorado, the Lake Christine fire is burning thousands of acres. Firefighters saying a 300-foot-high tsunami of fire swept over a subdivision overnight Wednesday, raising the number of homes destroyed to more than 200.
I've lived here about 40 years, and it's so dry. We knew that if anything caught, it would start to go right away.
In California, firefighters are making progress on a blaze west of Sacramento, but heat and high winds could once again stoke the flames. In Los Angeles, Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Henry, it's looking like tomorrow is going to be a scorcher.
Yes, especially across.
Tariff talks are leading to a new sense of urgency to get a farm bill passed before September 30th. The House and Senate have passed different versions of the bill, which now heads to a conference committee. Andrew Horn shows us what's cropping up in the new potential law.
Steve Tomac says his calves are coming along. He just hopes he'll still have a market for them when he's ready to sell.
Anytime there's a trade war, it seems like agriculture takes the short end of the stick. And I'm sure that's going to show up sooner or later here.
Tariffs from China and Canada threaten international trade markets for North Dakota livestock producers, and those markets are profitable.
Last year alone, it was valued at about $300 per head. So real dollars for cow-calf producers here in North Dakota.
And the markets might not be coming back. Senator Heitkamp says after pulling out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, those countries are now looking to sign a trade alliance with China by the end of the year. Ellingson says that could be a double hit for North Dakota cattle markets.
That helps move not only tonnage of product, but also some cuts that are more palatable in other countries that don't have as much value here in the United States. And that helps drive up the value of our carcasses.
And Tomac doesn't see an end to the trade war anytime soon.
Canada is already imposing tariffs on products like beef and whiskey. Chinese tariffs against soybeans are expected to go into effect tomorrow. A tornado touchdown caught on camera. The National Weather Service in Boulder, Colorado tweeted out this video. The tornado struck the town of Fairplay, about 2 hours southwest of Denver. The National Weather Service says the tornado is the 6th to hit the county since record keeping began in 1950. And some more wonky weather and some humid heat.
Yep.
Over to Henry.
Yep, that is exactly what it's looking like. We're going to have lots of heat across Montana and North Dakota over the next couple of days, but Montana for tomorrow is going to be the real hot spot, possible near triple-digit temperatures. Thus, the reason for your heat advisory for tomorrow morning through mid-evening. Cold front pushes through Saturday. Doesn't really help all that much. Will be pretty much the same. 90s continue, but a little less humidity.
All right, well, make a friend with a swimming pool. No show tomorrow. We will see you on Monday.